Okay guys, welcome, Rich here, and this is my Radiolink RC6GS 6-channel transmitter and receiver review. In this video, you are going to be seeing me fit it to this Armour Typhon speedrun car and also test it in this Armour Typhon speedrun car. This is because on the outside of the box it says it's got a 400 metre range, which is staggering on its own, but on the website they claim that Radiolink claim this has got a 600 metre range. 600 metres, you're barely going to be able to see the thing in the distance, but I have an idea how I might test that out with a friend. 2.4 gigahertz, so nothing is going to interfere with it. It has got a built-in gyro, which is fully adjustable, so you get that Traxxas TSM functionality, a bit like your Spectrum AVC functionality. You can increase it from 0 to 100%. Anyone who doesn't know what a gyro is, I'll do a little explanation of that, which is easier to demonstrate with it fitted to a car, so you can see what I'm talking about and the benefits of a gyro, which you will absolutely love, by the way. In addition, this speedrun car is becoming quite a handful under braking. Obviously, the faster it goes, the longer it takes to stops. This radio from Radiolink has ABS fitted to it, so hopefully that should enable me to brake a bit harder and a bit more under control. Also, that gyro in there, under braking, any kind of weaving round under that should greatly aid the car under braking, both in terms of keeping it in a straight line and stopping it actually stopping it faster. What is this like about this? Well, unlike the Banggood one I tested the other week, this has got a full digital display on it, so I'm interested to see what that looks like when we get it out of the box, as I shall do in just a second. Okay guys, I was going to save this till later on in the video, but it's a quick glimpse of that digital display, and it's very hard to make a radio review sexy, but this thing has definitely caught my attention. You will know I've managed to program the name of the car in there. We've got more than just a fairly basic display in it. This thing is fully functional. It's got a menu on here which has got like 20 different functions on it. To give you some idea of the level of detail that you can get down to on that thing on here, I'm going to go onto here and show you. You can play around with the throttle curves on here, guys. So we can press this button and change the throttle curve on screen by pressing these buttons on there and store it on there. So fully function digital display. Anyway, on with the review. This has also got dual mixing available on every channel, so you can mix any two channels with any other channels. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you've got a fast RC boat with twin engines, say, which has also got two ESCs on there, what you can do is mix three of the channels, so you can have two of them controlling the ESCs, but linking it in to the steering and the throttle at the same time. So when you squeeze the throttle and you're going in a straight line, both motors give the same amount of revs and your boat rockets off into the distance. But when you turn the steering wheel and you've still got full throttle on, what it'll do is decrease the revs on one, so it'll enable it to push the boat round and corner like it's on rails. Fingers crossed. I can see the advantage of that on a twin engine boat being quite dramatic. Likewise, you've got a tank, an RC tank, being able to mix the two channels for two ESCs, absolutely brilliant functionality on there. I am also in a separate video going to test this on a rock crawler. I'm going to test it on my Traxxas TRX4, because with 6 channels on there you can have one for steering, one for throttle and acceleration, you can have a third one for switching between the high and the low gear, a fourth one for unlocking and locking the front diff, and a fifth one for unlocking the rear diff, leaving you a 6 channel which you could use for something like a winch on the car or turning LED lights on and off. Anyway, let me get this out of the box, get some batteries in it, and let's take a look what we got for our money. Link to this below the video, by the way. Okay, time to distance test my new Radiolink radio. Might need to dull the steering dual rate down a bit. Take it right the way up there. Still got control, yep. Really are getting into, that's got to be coming up on certainly 400 meters away now. Bringing it back down towards me. It's very sensitive steering on here. And I would have to say that as I'm running out of room in which to test it in there, but that's got to be
probably 500 meters to the end of the street. So I'd say distance wise, the Radiolink RC6GS definitely does what it says on the box for certain. Whether it does that full 600 meter range, I would be fairly certain it does. I'm going to need something a bit bigger to test it out in though.
Okay guys, so let's see what we get for our money in here. Now I would say it has got endpoint adjustment for the steering on it. It's got throttle speed that you can set on there as well, so you can limit the maximum speed of the car, which is ideal if you've got younger kids on there. We've got steering dual rate and throttle dual rate on here as well. And one neat feature it's also got is throttle exponential, which you'll see me play with later on in the video, where you can alter the curve of the throttle. And as well as that throttle exponential, guys, you've also got steering exponential, so you can change the sensitivity of the steering around the neutral position as well. And it's also got on here, guys, something referred to as steering speed, which appears to be, if you snatch at the steering, it will kind of almost autocorrect for you on there. Not quite sure on that one. Throttle acceleration, you can set it so you can have a high punch off the line, or you can just get it to accelerate linearly on there. So quite interested that you can actually set the punch level from the transmitter. You can also set the idle if you've got for a startup. So if you've got a nitro car, you can have the thing with slightly more throttle on there to start with to help you start your car. Your traditional servo reversing on there and throttle reversing as well. This is basic instruction manual. Scan that QR code on the front for a detailed one. Is the receiver itself on there, 6 channels, to say Gyro built in on there. And one thing before I put the batteries in, guys, anybody that used to know Radio Shack, does that Radiolink logo not look so familiar to that? And speaking of fitting batteries in, guys, it does take 6 AA batteries in here, which you can kind of understand, because if that is kicking out enough power to go 600 meters, it is going to be using up more battery power in there. Speaking of which, you can actually fit a 2S or a 4S LiPo in there, and it will actually tell you on the transmitter when that battery is getting low. You somebody sort of pop this battery compartment out of the way, and there's a connector in the corner. Absolutely outstanding. So 6 AAs in there, and let's have a look at this thing.
Full throttle on my driveway. And I am glad the brakes are good.
Got my batteries in, so quickly going to talk you through transmitter, but this thing is packed with features, so I kind of don't want to miss anything, but I don't want to bore the hell out of people on bits that are not interested. It's a pseudo-random frequency hopping. It hops between 67 different frequencies at random on 2.4 gigs, so nothing in theory should interfere with this. On the back, we've got a simulation port. I'm not quite sure what that is. Anybody who knows wants to tell me, then please do so, because I guess that will all help us out. On-off switch on here. USB port, so you can update the software on this to the very latest version from that online website if you so need to do so. Okay guys, put my aerial up, moving round to the front. Channel 1 is your throttle and your brake on there. Channel 2 is your steering. Channel 3, which I'm guessing this little dial can also be used for controlling that gyro. That's your channel 3 on there. Channel 4, little on-off button there. Channels 5 and 6, they are 3 position switches on there, guys, so I'm guessing that can be used for unlocking your diffs, etc. on your Traxxas scroller. Steering trim, they've got, rather than a little dial or anything like that that can be nudged, this is a far better idea to my mind, guys. You can nudge this switch up and down for steering trim, and left and right the same on there for throttle trim. So there's no little dial to catch. That's to my mind, that's much better on there. And the eagle-eyed amongst you might spot this little lever this side. This is actually a trim lever for that 3rd channel. I'm guessing that will only come into light when I actually set the thing up as to how that operates. Anyway, onto that display. Okay guys, going to dive down into the transmitter in just a second, but the first thing I am going to do is pair the transmitter up with the receiver on there. So with the transmitter turned on, you power your car up. Then you hold down the pairing button on the back of the receiver for 2 seconds. It should start to flash, and when it stops flashing, it's connected. And there we have it, full steering on the car. Time to test the throttle. Okay, with the steering working, I do notice I've got to adjust the endpoints to stop it hitting the bumper, but time to test the throttle. And the first thing I notice is the throttle is reversed, so I need to correct that first of all. Okay guys, when you've paired the receiver, all you need to do is press that pairing button 3 times on there to turn it into gyro mode, and as you'll see the wheels twitching there. So I now need to tape that receiver down in order for it to function correctly. Now with that gyro fixed down in place, guys, you see the wheels counter steering into the skid. If the back end of the car skids out, the front wheels will kind of counter steer into the skid, stopping it from moving around. I do want a little bit of that for the speed runs, but not too much. With the gyro turned down to 0, you move the front of the car, it has absolutely no effect at all. Turn it to 50%, you're going to get a little bit of effect from the wheels turning on there, and then if we set it up to 100%, you're going to get the full effect of the gyro. Okay guys, now that's everything on the car set up. Now what you're going to see next is me do a short test with the car just in the backyard, just to check everything's running, all the cars running straight line, braking, stopping, etc. And then the next bit of this video, you're going to see me doing the distance test when doing a few drag racing starts with it down at JJ Customs, where I'm going to test out the functionality of the transmitter more. Then at the end of this video, I'm going to talk through every single aspect of the functionality of this transmitter, so if you buy one you'll know exactly what to do and what functionality it has got. But I thought that would sort of help keep people's general interest if I showed a practical demonstration first of all.
You can see the angle there where I've set the steering. I've got a huge amount of steering on there guys, acceleration wise. Brakes, that's what I'm interested in, the brakes. Feel that ABS can definitely making a difference on the ABS braking there. That braking from the outset, just what I want. Not much of a gap between neutral and there, it's good. Oh, that's going to stop nicely.
Now if you look at the transmitter screen there guys, you'll see a little curve on it, and you can adjust that curve using the throttle exponential function. You can move it up or down so you can increase where the power comes in on that curve, whether you want it in at the top end for speed runs where you don't want that punchy, you don't want to squirrel around off the line, or whether you want to put the power curve towards the bottom so you've got full throttle for drag racing. But very, very easy to adjust indeed.
Ooh, that's got more punch straight away on there. Throttle, I've been playing around with this exponential curve guys, and you can set it so like virtually all the power's low down, and then it just tells up at the end, so it's all about acceleration with this profile. He says fingers crossed. Okay, with that on 80% exponential curve, just take a bit careful. Gonna have so much fun when I get this dialed in. Thing about the exponential curve guys, what you can also do for speed runs is you can set it negative, so at the bottom we've not got a lot of acceleration on here, but then it all comes in at the top end, making it absolutely ideal, I'm thinking, for speed runs. So you really can play around with that graph to your heart's content. I am absolutely loving this radio guys. Okay guys, just getting ready for speedrun and drag racing night down at JJ Customs, and I have to say I am loving my Venom Pro Quad charger. We've got two 5500 milliamp 3S packs on there, and one 4500 milliamp 4S pack, all charging quite happily at a rate you just would not believe guys. Highly recommended. Throttle profile, I've got it set heavily on the exponential, so a lot of the power should come in at the top end rather than the bottom, so I should be able to give it full throttle off the line. Yep, but bar for pulling to one side of it, not bad.
Okay guys, well we're playing around with that throttle curve. I can launch it at pretty much full throttle off the line on 6S with actually nominal wheel spin on there at all, making it ideal for drag racing. Well, the transmitter's got a phenomenal adjustment range on it in terms of that throttle curve. You can either get all the power to come in at the top end, you can have a linear curve, meaning it's the same power throughout the rev range, or you can have lots of power down at the bottom end. So you can really set the thing up exactly as you want, whether you want it for drag racing like we're doing tonight, drag racing starts, or whether you want it for speed runs where you're not wanting so much power off the line, but you are wanting it for the top end on there. Now you can see guys, it doesn't launch perfect every time, but I have been playing around with the throttle profiles and it's having a noticeable impact on the way the car launches. So it's very much, I wouldn't say it's a case of trial and error, it's seeing what works, and if you're getting too much wheel spin, too much wavering around at the back end, then dial that throttle curve back down a bit so the power comes in more at the top end on there. Anyway guys, enough of the practical demonstration, and back to the workshop to show you just what a wide range of adjustment this transmitter's got. It's got so many functions, it is ridiculous. Okay guys, I have to say this thing has got an awful lot going for it. That display and the level of functionality, 20 different functions controlled on the radio, 10 model memory, and you can even set the name of each model on it. And to anyone that's got complaining about the latest Spectrum radios, this thing feels absolutely rock solid in your hand. Very, very solid indeed. Neat fold down aerial on the top on there, and a huge range. I mean, the range on the thing is just ridiculous. I mean, for most of us, you're not even going to get close to like a 400 meter, 500 meter range. The car's like a little speck in the distance at that point, guys. Anyway, I did say I would cover the radio functions in more detail. I've tried to put all the the good stuff, the interesting stuff on the setup and the functionality of the car and the demo of the car in the first bit of this video. So I hope I've succeeded in at least trying to make this radio review a little bit sexy there, guys. In the next bit of the video, I'm going to drill on down into all of the functionality that the radio has got, because I put that at the end because I know that's not going to be of interest to everyone. Anyway, if you like the video so far, then do give it a thumbs up. As I said, there's a link to this radio below the video. Anyway, straight on to the detail of the transmitter. Straight back to that transmitter, guys. On here we've got the steering trim. Moving the steering trim using the steering button on there. We can see visually, and there's an indicator on the side there. That's just what changes we've got. Does that in 2-point increments. Now it's showing you where it is there, look to the right, so R4 right on there. Okay, switching back down, left on there, so you can see exactly which way the steering is being trimmed to on there. That's a very neat feature actually, I'm quite liking that from the outset. The same with the throttle trim, forwards. I assume the F is for forwards on there. Pushing that switch the other way. I like the idea of the switch rather than the dial, guys. Okay, B, I assume for backwards on there. So your steering trim, throttle trim, very easy to set up. Now let me find out just how to reverse that throttle. Bit of setup work to do, guys. So I'm going to have to hold exit and enter for 1 second. That gets me into the model, into the menu rather. We can set language, model. Now I'm intrigued as to how many models you can set on this thing. Let's enter language on there. Yeah, English, enter, confirm that, exit on that. Okay, now moving on down, model. Enter. See how many models are down here, guys. So that's 10 model memory there. 10 model memory on this transmitter, guys. That's not bad at all. EPA. So that's endpoint adjustment. So I can adjust the endpoints on there so the wheels aren't fouling on that front bumper. Steering exponential. Steering speed. Throttle exponential. Now the throttle curves, guys, the throttle exponential, there are 4 different profiles on here. Probably one of the best features on the radio, but probably one of the most boring ones to show and explain to people. But suffice to say, you can control exactly where the power comes in on the throttle curve, depending on which profile you choose and how you then choose to alter the throttle curve within that profile. Next function, guys, is throttle speed, where you can control the maximum percentage speed-wise of the car. So if you've got young children, you can give them your high-powered car, but limit the top speed using this function. So you're going to decrease the throttle. So if you wanted your son or daughter to be using it, you want to take it down to 50% of the speed, this is the way to do it there, guys. ABS, move on down. Enter, we'll mode off, I think we'll have that on. There, ABP, oh, not at all sure what all the different things mean on here. I guess we're going to have to play around with that out in the real world to see what effect these things have. Now, acceleration, this is the one that you might be interested in, guys, because this is the one that enables you on here in forwards. If you thump that up, it's like 100%. This is increasing the punch level off the line, and then the remainder of the curve appears linear. But this is the way you increase the punch level of the car off of the line. But for a minute, I'm going to set it back down to 0. That's again something to play around with in the real world, there, boys. Okay, exit from there. Idle up. That is the thing I mentioned. If you've got a nitro car, you can actually set the throttle to be slightly higher to start with. Subtrim, not quite sure what that is. Need to read the manual on that. Reverse. Okay, down here, that throttle needs reversing. I've got normal throttle on there, so steering is fine. Throttle, going to change that to reverse. Enter on there, and you can reverse every single one of the channels there, guys. So you can reverse each one of the 6 channels. I was not expecting that. Very neat feature. I can see circumstances where that would come into play, particularly on a crawler with your switches, your gears, your winches, things like that on there. dual rate, steering dual rate, throttle dual rate on there. So I'm going to dial down my steering dual rate on here. We do not want it to be super sensitive when I'm doing the speedrun stuff. So I'm going to take that down to maybe 60% on there. You can adjust it very quickly. Okay, throttle rate. Yeah, I'm going to keep that the same there for the minute. If it's proved too much of it, I might be able to use that to dial it down, the sensitivity off the line, but for the minute for drag racing, I want it there at 100%. ATL function, what have we got on there? Not a clue what that's for, need to rely on that. Okay, the mixing functions on here. The mixing function, this is where you can get into doing things like running the two motors that I mentioned. Auxiliary channel, again, need to read the manual for a little more detail on these guys. Name. Oh, so you can give your Model 1 a name, so I can name this Typhon as an example. Let's go and do that. Okay, so name this Model 1 Typhon on that. Alarm. Yeah, so you can set your low voltage alarm on here. Now gyro. Enter on here. Mix on. VR rate 100%. And there, turning the dial on the side there, guys. You see the gyro interaction controlled by that dial. And scan to the last one, you can reset everything on there. Well, thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Post any comments you might have in the comment section below the video and hit the circle below to subscribe. And if you do hit the circle, don't forget to hit the bell.